I had my very first anxiety attack after my daughter was born in a movie theater. And today I want to share with you a little bit about my journey and my experience in really coming to learn more about anxiety, at least my anxiety. And interestingly, as I work with clients, anxiety tends to come up a lot, especially for those who live with chronic pain. And what I have come to really appreciate about anxiety is that the more we try to get away from it, the more powerful it becomes. And it's kind of like a really aggressive landowner, right? I find that it tends to occupy more real estate in your mind the more you try to get away from it, the more you try to fight it, the more you try to avoid it. And it's been my experience as I have come to really change my relationship with anxiety that ultimately one of the best things that I have been taught to do is to actually be with it and to actually not try to hide from it or avoid it. And how do I do that? How do I suggest my clients do that? It's actually not by directly telling it to go away, but to redirect your attention, redirect the energy into something else. Maybe it's yoga. Maybe it's the melt method. Maybe it's walking. Maybe it's meditating, but it's something that brings you joy. And it's so difficult to be happy, to be joyful when you are underneath the shadows or in that grip of anxiety. And it's so frustrating to hear and to see how many women in particular suffer from anxiety. It keeps us in such a small, dark place. And I've been told so many times that they have, from my students and my clients, that they have been told to, not give it attention or to ignore it, which seems to lack, first of all, just an enormous amount of empathy, especially if you've never experienced a gripping type of anxiety. And again, I have found in my own practice, in my own, coming to terms with this aspect or this emotion that somehow can build up inside of me, that I see it and I notice it and I'm able to identify it and trust that even though it might be visiting me at a certain period of time, that it won't last forever. And I have created and have identified the tools that work for me to really ultimately be in a more peaceful place and to get me on more solid ground when it comes to living a more joyful, just a happier life and a more active one. And so in the event that you are familiar with this thing that we call anxiety, I want you to be open to the possibility that running away from it, trying to hide from it, being ashamed of it actually gives it power. It feeds that anxiety. And by not ignoring it, by actually recognizing it, and then actually choosing to let it be and to let it run its course, yet simultaneously having the vulnerability and the courage to lean towards something that'll give you a smile or a laugh, maybe some joy. But know that it's worth investigating what that thing is. And hopefully you'll slowly start to take back some of that real estate, that terrain up in your mind. And I like to say that with respect to anxiety, sometimes I have it, but it doesn't have this gripping, intense strangle around my neck like it has in the past. And it's okay. It's okay. And there are so many different things that we can investigate. There's ways to think outside of the pillbox when it comes to anxiety that we can try that are really, really helpful and easy if you're just open to the possibility to actually try it. And it's my hope that having this conversation about, this thing that we call anxiety can actually be turned around to empower us to investigate and learn a little bit more about how we react to our environment, to different stimulation, to ultimately different triggers, because there is a way. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.